The rain poured down on the empty highway, headlights slicing through the storm. Jack Miller, a single dad in his late 30s, spotted a stalled luxury car by the roadside. Inside sat a trembling teenage girl, her mascara streaked, phone dead, and tears mixing with rain. "Don't worry, I'll get you home safe," he said, grabbing his toolbox. He didn't know yet. The girl in the car was the billionaire's missing daughter. "Stay with us. This touching story will break your heart and heal it too." Jack Miller had learned to navigate life in the spaces between exhaustion and responsibility. At 38, he'd spent the last 3 years as both father and mother to Emma, his 11-year-old daughter, after his wife Claire died in a car accident. The mechanic shop he owned barely kept them afloat, but it was honest work, and Jack had learned that honest work mattered more than easy money. This particular Tuesday night, Jack was driving home from a late emergency repair. Mrs. Henderson's Honda had died in the grocery store parking lot, and Jack had stayed until 9 fixing it, because that's what small-town mechanics did. The rain had started around 8 and hadn't let up, turning the highway into a river of headlights and hazard. That's when he saw it. A Mercedes sedan, sleek and expensive, and completely out of place on this rural highway, sitting on the shoulder with its hazard lights blinking weakly. Jack slowed, peering through the rain-streaked windshield, and saw a figure in the driver's seat, small, hunched, clearly in distress. He pulled over without thinking. His truck's headlights illuminated the scene more clearly now. A teenage girl, maybe 17, wearing clothes that probably cost more than Jack's monthly rent, mascara running down her face, phone clutched uselessly in her hand. Jack tapped on the window gently. The girl jumped, fear flashing across her face. But when she saw Jack's worn work jacket and kind expression, something shifted. She cracked the window slightly. "Car trouble?" Jack asked, raising his voice over the rain. "It just died. I don't know what happened. My phone's dead and I don't know where I am and—" Her voice cracked, teetering on the edge of full panic. Okay, let's start simple. I'm Jack. I'm a mechanic. Mind if I take a look?" She hesitated, then nodded, unlocking the door. Jack popped the hood, examining the engine by flashlight. The diagnosis was quick. Alternator failure, probably. Fixable, but not here in the rain. "I can tow you to my shop in town. It's about 10 miles. Get you dried off. Fix this in the morning." "I don't have money with me. We'll figure that out later. Right now you're soaked and stranded. Let me help." Something in his tone, genuine, without expectation, made her agree. "I'm Chloe," she said quietly. "Nice to meet you, Chloe. Let's get you somewhere dry." Jack towed the Mercedes to his shop, then brought Chloe to his house, a modest 2-story that was cluttered with evidence of their life. Emma was still awake despite the late hour, doing homework at the kitchen table. "Dad, you're finally—" "Oh." Emma stopped, noticing the bedraggled stranger. "Emma, this is Chloe. Her car broke down. She's going to stay with us tonight." Emma, with the easy hospitality of children raised by kind parents, immediately got up. "You must be freezing. Dad, she needs dry clothes. I'll get some of mine. Wait, maybe Mom's old stuff would fit better." Before Chloe could protest, Emma had disappeared upstairs, returning with sweatpants and a hoodie. "The bathroom's upstairs, first door on the right. There's hot water if you want a shower." Chloe looked between them, this mechanic and his daughter, offering help without questions, without judgment, and felt something crack in her chest. "Thank you," she whispered. While Chloe showered, Jack made tea, and Emma set out cookies she'd baked earlier. When Chloe emerged, clean and warm but still looking lost, Emma patted the chair beside her. "Do you like chocolate chip or oatmeal raisin better? I made both. But Dad says the oatmeal ones are healthier, so I have to eat those first, but I think that's not really fair because—" "Emma, breathe," Jack interrupted gently, smiling at Chloe. "She talks when she's nervous, or excited, or basically anytime she's awake." Chloe surprised herself by laughing, a small sound, rusty from disuse. "Chocolate chip, definitely chocolate chip." They sat together in the warm kitchen while rain drummed on the roof, and Chloe felt something she hadn't felt in years. Safe. Jack noticed how she held herself, defensive and distant, even as she accepted their hospitality. He recognized that posture. Emma had carried herself the same way after Claire died, like she was bracing for the next loss. You didn't have to help, Chloe said eventually, studying her tea like it held answers. Jack shrugged. That's what dads do. We fix what's broken. Even strangers. Especially strangers. They need it most. That night, the storm intensified. Around 10:30, the power cut out, plunging the house into darkness. Emma shrieked, then giggled at her own reaction. Jack found candles and flashlights, and they settled in the living room like pioneers, the modern world temporarily suspended. This happens a lot out here, Emma explained to Chloe. Dad says we're too far from the city for the power company to care much. But I like it. It's like camping but warmer. They sat around the coffee table, candlelight casting shadows on the walls. Jack had insisted Chloe stay the night. The roads were dangerous, the storm wasn't letting up, and her phone was still dead even after charging. In the flickering light, with the storm raging outside and warmth surrounding them inside, Chloe found herself talking, really talking, in a way she hadn't in years. My father is Richard Hayes, she said quietly. Jack froze. Richard Hayes. Everyone knew that name. Tech billionaire, CEO of Hayes Innovations, one of the wealthiest men in the country. His face was on magazine covers, his company valued in the billions. The Richard Hayes? Emma asked, eyes wide. The guy who invented that phone thing? You're his daughter? Chloe nodded miserably. For all the good it does. He's never home. Always traveling. Always in meetings. Always more important things than… She stopped, voice breaking. Jack set down his tea carefully. Is that why you were out there? On the highway? We had a fight. A bad one. He forgot my mother's birthday. She died 4 years ago and he forgot. Just completely forgot. I screamed at him, said he didn't care about anyone but his company, and he said I was being dramatic. So I took my mom's old car and just drove. I didn't even know where I was going. Emma moved closer to Chloe, her hand finding Chloe's in the darkness. When I miss Mom, Dad tells me fixing cars helps fix my heart. Does your dad fix things? He fixes technology, companies, profit margins. Chloe's voice was bitter. Not people, never people. Jack studied this girl, wealthy beyond measure but poor in the ways that actually mattered. Emma, show Chloe your mom's photo, the one you keep by your bed. Emma retrieved it, a framed picture of Claire, laughing at some forgotten joke, alive and vibrant. This is my mom. She died 3 years ago. Car accident, some drunk driver. And Emma's voice was matter-of-fact, the way children spoke about tragedies they'd learned to carry. I was really sad for a long time. Sometimes I'm still sad. But Dad says Mom wouldn't want us to stop living. She'd want us to help people, because that's what she did. She was a nurse. Chloe looked at the photo, then at Emma's earnest face, then at Jack's gentle expression. Your dad's right, about fixing things. My mom used to say that too, that fixing broken things, even small things, helps us remember we're not broken ourselves. Was she like that? A fixer? She was an artist, sculptor. She'd take broken pieces, glass, metal, whatever, and make them into something beautiful. After she died, Dad threw everything away, said it was too painful to keep. But I think he was just scared of remembering. They talked deep into the night, the storm outside matching the turbulence inside Chloe's heart being gradually calmed. Jack shared his own story, meeting Claire in college, building a life together, the devastation of losing her, the daily work of being enough for Emma when he felt like half a person. Emma showed Chloe her drawings, mostly pictures of cars and families, and a woman with curly hair who appeared in every scene. That's Mom, Emma explained. I draw her into everything so she doesn't miss stuff. That's beautiful, Chloe whispered, and meant it. The next morning the storm had passed. Jack fixed Chloe's alternator, a simple repair that took less than an hour, and insisted on driving her home personally to make sure she arrived safely. The drive to the Hayes estate took 90 minutes. Jack's truck looked increasingly out of place as they approached, passing through gates and security checkpoints, pulling up to a mansion that looked more like a museum than a home. Before getting out, Chloe turned to Jack. Thank you for everything, for not asking questions or calling my dad or treating me like what? Like I'm someone important instead of just a person? Jack smiled. You are just a person. That's what makes you important. Chloe hugged Emma tightly through the truck's window. "You're really lucky, to have a dad like yours." "I know," Emma said seriously. "You can borrow him sometimes if you want. He's pretty good at the dad stuff." As they watched Chloe disappear into the massive house, Emma turned to her father. "Dad, is being rich supposed to make you happy?" "It's supposed to. But money can't buy the things that actually matter. People who care about you, time together, feeling safe enough to be sad. Chloe's got everything money can buy and nothing it can't. That's really sad." "Yes, sweetheart, it really is." They drove home in thoughtful silence, both of them thinking about the lonely girl in the big house. And Jack felt grateful for his modest life, his cluttered home, his relationship with his daughter that was built on time and attention rather than money and absence. He didn't expect to see Chloe again. Figured she'd return to her world, and he'd return to his, and that one rainy night would become a story they'd each tell differently. He was wrong. 2 days later, Jack was under a Ford Explorer when Emma burst into the shop, tablet in hand, face pale. Dad, you need to see this." Jack rolled out from under the vehicle, wiping grease from his hands. Emma held out the tablet, showing a news article. "Billionaire's daughter missing for 48 hours. Reward offered for information." The photo showed Chloe, professional headshot, polished and perfect, looking nothing like the terrified girl from the highway. Jack's stomach dropped. "Oh no." "Dad, that's her. That's Chloe. The article says she's been missing since Tuesday night, that she ran away after a fight with her dad. They're looking everywhere for her." "She wasn't missing. She was with us. I brought her home yesterday morning. But maybe her dad wasn't there. Maybe nobody knew." Emma was spiraling now, voice rising. "Dad, are we in trouble? Are they going to think we kidnapped her? We didn't do anything wrong. I helped a stranded kid. I returned her safely." The sound of vehicles approaching interrupted him. Jack walked to the garage bay entrance and felt his heart sink. 3 black SUVs pulled up, doors opening simultaneously, revealing men in dark suits and one person in expensive casual wear, Richard Hayes himself. Hayes stormed toward Jack with barely contained fury. "Where is she? Where's my daughter?" "Mr. Hayes, I can explain. You took my daughter, kept her overnight. Do you have any idea the nightmare we've been through?" Jack kept his voice steady despite his racing heart. "I helped your daughter when her car broke down on the highway. She was stranded in a storm. I fixed her car and drove her home yesterday morning. She went inside. I watched her go inside. No one saw her come home. She wasn't there when I returned yesterday afternoon. And maybe you should have been there to see her," Jack said quietly, and immediately regretted it when Hayes' eyes went cold. "Don't presume to lecture me about my daughter. You're a mechanic who—" "He saved me!" Everyone turned. Chloe stood at the edge of the property, having walked from wherever she'd actually spent the last day. She looked furious, defensive, and close to tears. "He saved me, Dad. My car died in the middle of nowhere in a storm. My phone was dead. I was terrified. And he stopped. He fixed my car. He and Emma gave me dry clothes and food and a safe place to stay. Then he drove me home. What he didn't do was kidnap me, which is what you're clearly accusing him of." Hayes turned to his daughter, expressions shifting from fury to something like relief, though his pride wouldn't let him show it fully. "Where have you been? I came home and you weren't there, and no one had seen you?" "I was at Amanda's house. I told the housekeeper. I guess you didn't ask her." Father and daughter stared at each other, years of hurt and miscommunication hanging between them. Finally, Hayes turned back to Jack, some of the anger deflating, but the defensive pride remaining. "I apologize for the accusation. Obviously, there was a misunderstanding." "Obviously," Jack replied evenly. Hayes shifted uncomfortably. "I'd like to compensate you for your help. For the repair, your time, the inconvenience." "No. I insist. Name your price." "There is no price, Mr. Hayes. I helped because it was the right thing to do, not because I expected payment. You can't buy gratitude. Everyone has a price." "Not everyone." Jack gestured toward his garage, his modest business, his daughter watching from the doorway. "I've got everything I need. Your money won't make my life better, and taking it would make this night worth something other than what it was. Just one person helping another." Hayes looked like he'd been slapped. He was a man accustomed to problems that could be solved with money, to situations where his wealth made complications disappear. Jack's refusal broke his usual pattern of operation. The tension stretched uncomfortably until one of Hayes' assistants approached. "Sir, we should go. The press is starting to gather." Hayes nodded curtly, then turned to leave. Chloe looked between her father's retreating back and Jack's steady presence, caught between two worlds that suddenly felt unbridgeable. "I'm sorry," she whispered to Jack. "I should have known he'd assume the worst. He always does." "It's okay. We're okay. You should go with your dad, Chloe." He was scared. Fear makes people irrational. Chloe hugged Emma quickly, then followed her father to the SUV. As they pulled away, Emma leaned against Jack's side. "Why were you so mean to him?" "I wasn't mean, sweetheart. I was honest. Sometimes those feel the same. He really thought you kidnapped her." "He thought wrong, but I understand why. He doesn't know me. He was scared, and powerful people are used to thinking the worst of everyone because people usually want something from them. That's sad." "Yeah, it really is." 3 weeks passed with no word from Chloe or her father. Jack assumed that was the end. Chloe had returned to her world, he'd returned to his, and their brief intersection was over. Then Emma got sick. Nothing serious, just a bad flu that left her feverish and miserable. Jack had closed the shop to stay home with her, monitoring her temperature, making soup, trying to keep her comfortable. The doorbell rang on the third day of her illness. Jack opened it to find Chloe standing there with a bag from the pharmacy and a container of what looked like homemade soup. "I heard Emma was sick," Chloe said quietly. "Amanda's mom makes this soup. It's supposed to help. And I brought medicine, and I know I shouldn't be here. Dad would be furious. But you and Emma made me feel like I had a real family. I couldn't not come." Jack stepped aside, letting her in. "You're always welcome here, Chloe. Always." Upstairs, Emma's face lit up when she saw Chloe. "You came back." "Of course I came back. We're friends, aren't we?" "Best friends," Emma confirmed, then coughed pathetically. "Even when I'm disgusting. Especially when you're disgusting. That's what best friends do. Show up for the gross stuff." Watching them together, Chloe reading to Emma, making her laugh despite feeling awful, Jack realized something. Chloe wasn't the spoiled heiress everyone saw. She was just a lonely kid who'd been starving for connection, for people who saw her as a person rather than a billionaire's daughter. She was, in all the ways that mattered, exactly like Emma had been after losing her mother. Lost and looking for safe harbor. And somehow, his modest home had become that harbor for both of them. 6 weeks after the highway incident, Richard Hayes appeared at Jack's garage again. This time he came alone, driving himself without the entourage of SUVs and security. Jack was under a Chevy when Hayes cleared his throat. "Mr. Miller, do you have a moment?" Jack rolled out, surprised to see Hayes there without dramatics. "Mr. Hayes, what can I do for you?" Hayes looked uncomfortable, like a man attempting something completely unfamiliar. "I have a project, a personal one. I'd like to hire you." "I told you, I don't want your money. It's not charity, it's a job, a restoration." Hayes pulled out his phone, showing photos of a vintage car, a 1967 Mustang, beautiful but clearly in need of extensive work. "This was my wife's car, her pride and joy. After she died, I couldn't look at it, so I had it stored. But Chloe's birthday is in 2 months, and I thought, if it could be restored..." He trailed off, vulnerability showing through the cracks in his professional armor. Jack studied the photos, then Hayes' face. This wasn't about money or pride. This was a father trying to build a bridge to his daughter using the only language he understood, grand gestures. That's a 6-week job minimum, maybe 8. I'd have to source parts, do custom work. And I'm not cheap, Mr. Hayes. Not because you're rich, but because restoration work takes time and skill. I'll pay whatever it costs, and I'd like to help, if you'll teach me. Jack blinked. You want to help restore the car? Chloe said you told her fixing broken things helps fix broken hearts. I've got a lot that needs fixing, Mr. Miller. Thought I'd start with something I understand, machines, and work my way up to the things I don't, like being the father my daughter deserves. Creehee, there was something raw in Hayes' admission, something that reminded Jack of himself 3 years ago. lost and trying to figure out how to be enough for his child when he felt like half a person. All right, we start Monday, 6 a.m. Wear clothes you don't mind destroying. 6 a.m.? You want to learn mechanic work? You keep mechanic hours. Take it or leave it. Hayes smiled slightly, the first genuine expression Jack had seen from him. I'll take it. Over the following weeks, Richard Hayes showed up every morning at 6 a.m. He worked beside Jack, learning to strip parts, sand rust, rebuild an engine from the ground up. His expensive clothes got ruined. His hands got calloused. He learned that some things couldn't be solved with money or delegated to assistants. They required time, patience, and the willingness to fail repeatedly. They didn't talk much at first. The work was conversation enough. But gradually, in the quiet spaces between tasks, Hayes began opening up. I threw myself into work after my wife died, he admitted one morning while sanding body panels. Told myself I was building something for Chloe's future. But really I was running from the present, from having to sit in a house full of memories and feel the loss. I did the same thing, Jack said quietly, except I couldn't run because Emma needed me. She needed someone to make breakfast and help with homework and read bedtime stories. So I learned to sit with the grief instead of avoiding it. How? How do you just sit with that much pain? You don't sit with all of it at once. You sit with today's grief. Then tomorrow you sit with tomorrow's. Eventually you learn that feeling it doesn't destroy you. Avoiding it does. Hayes was quiet for a long time. I've been avoiding it for 4 years. I think Chloe's been waiting for me to come back that whole time. And instead I just kept running. You're here now, that's what matters. Is it enough? For today? Yeah. Tomorrow you show up again. That's how it works. One day at a time, showing up even when it's hard. Meanwhile, Chloe and Emma had become inseparable. Chloe spent more time at Jack's modest house than at her mansion, helping with dinner, doing homework at the kitchen table, learning that family wasn't about perfection or wealth, but about showing up for each other consistently. Why do you like it here so much? Emma asked one evening. Your house is huge. You have everything. I have stuff, Chloe corrected. Here I have people. That's different. On the day they finished restoring the Mustang, Jack invited both girls to the garage for the reveal. Hayes stood beside the covered car, more nervous than Jack had ever seen him. Chloe, I know I haven't been the father you deserved. I got lost after your mom died, and I let work become more important than being present. This car was your mother's. She loved it. And I thought maybe restoring it could be a start. Not at replacing her, because nothing could, but at honoring her memory instead of running from it. He pulled the cover off, revealing the pristine Mustang, gleaming paint, rebuilt engine, restored to exactly how it had looked in photos from before Chloe's mother died. Chloe burst into tears, running her hands over the hood. Mom's car! You restored Mom's car. Jack did most of the work. I mainly learned that I'm terrible at mechanical things. Hayes smiled slightly. But I learned something else too. Your mom used to tell me that love wasn't about grand gestures, but about showing up every day. I forgot that, but Jack reminded me. He turned to Jack, extending his hand. Thank you, not just for the car, for showing me what it means to actually be a father instead of just providing for a child. Jack shook his hand. You don't need billions to be rich, Mr. Hayes. You just need someone to come home to. You've got that. The rest is showing up. Later, as they watched Chloe and Emma sitting in the restored Mustang, taking pictures and laughing, Hayes spoke quietly. I'm moving my office home. No more constant travel. No more putting the company before Chloe. Whatever I've built means nothing if I lose my daughter in the process. She'll forgive you. Kids are remarkably good at that when we give them the chance. Were you always this wise? No, I was this lost. Lost and wise look the same from the outside. The difference is whether you've done the work to get there. They stood together, two fathers from completely different worlds who'd found common ground in the most unlikely place. A garage where broken things got fixed, and sometimes broken people did too. Months later, the restored Mustang sat in Jack's driveway. Chloe and Emma in the back seat, laughing at some shared joke, their fathers talking like brothers in the front. Two families, woven together by one stormy night, by the willingness to stop for a stranger, by the recognition that wealth had nothing to do with what actually mattered. If this touching story warmed your heart, Remember, the richest people aren't those with the most money, but those with the most love. Sometimes fixing a broken car means fixing a broken family too.